How's it going, everyone? This is Paul Garcia of Project Spurs. Here bringing you a quick instant reaction to the Spurs' preseason loss to the Orlando Magic, but San Antonio did play much better in this game, even though they ended up losing the game. Just barely though at the end. So before we jump into the teams, the specific player stats, let's first go to the team, how they as a whole. So they did lose by 3 here, as I mentioned, 102-99. Coach Pop did play the starters and rotation players the majority of this game in 3 of the quarters, and then in the fourth quarter it was more so the back end of the roster players who got most of those minutes. So let's first talk about the Spurs and how they did as a team, and some specific stats here using my shot location box score. All right, so in the paint, San Antonio attacked the paint. 42% of their shots came from there. They were much more efficient finishing in the paint, with 58% accuracy in the paint when they did attack. Their three-point shooting really turned around, where last time in Houston, where they went 11 of 42, 26% as a team, they now rebounded today to shoot much better, 13 of 31, 42% from the three-point line. That's a big chunk of where they got their points from in this game. They didn't take much mid-rangers. Again, just 16% of their shots are mid-rangers. That's a good thing, not taking many from the non-paint too. And then free throw line still struggling as a team, 18 of 26, 69% as a group overall. Orlando was more so the aggressor in terms of finishing in the paint. A lot of their points came from the free throw line in the paint. They got those attacking points. But then the Spurs, they had their jumpers going. They had a lot of their points, like I mentioned, from the three-point line. As far as the fast break, the Spurs outscored Orlando by 9 points here. 20% of their points came from the fast break. And then also one of the issues on offense, which again the Spurs are learning, was the points off turnovers. The Spurs turned the ball over 21 times. The Magic converted those points. 35 of those. Those 21 turnovers turned into 35 points for the Orlando Magic. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some different players who played well for the Spurs here. So they had 4 scorers who finished in double figures, starting with Doug McDermott, who had 14 points. He was really aggressive about making cuts, really trying to finish at the rim, and so he got 10 of his points in the paint there against Orlando for Doug McDermott. Keita Bates-Diop with 12 points. He shot very well from the three-point line. He had 12 points here. And there's some early quotes from Coach Pop coming out about Keita Bates-Diop from this game. This is via Tom Osborne of the San Antonio Express News. He says, "Pop on Keita Bates-Diop going 4 for 4 from deep. We want him to shoot we want him to shoot those shots. And when he first came here, he wouldn't have done that. Or if he did, he probably wouldn't have made it. But he's obviously getting more confidence. He's getting it off quickly, and he knows when he is open." So there's Coach Pop there. Very complimentary of Keita Bates-Diop's shooting so far early on in this preseason. Again, he 4 there. 12 points from the three-point line. Trey Jones, 6 points. More aggressive, still running the point for the team as a starting point guard with 11 points, 6 in the paint, should I say. Devin Vassell, another game with double figures, so 11 points here. A mixture of scoring for him. 4 inside the paint, 3 from outside, 2 from the free throw line, 2 from mid-range. That's what you expect from Devin, a very balanced scorer. Josh Richardson got the team going very early, where he had 6 points from 3, but then also he finished in the paint with an and one opportunity. And it was interesting to watch some of the lineups Coach Pop threw out there tonight, where he would take Trey Jones out, and then he kind of have mostly a lot of guards and wings, and then plus like bigs. So like he threw out a lineup where like Josh Richardson was basically like your point guard, but really it was just like anyone could bring the ball up and initiate the offense. And they had a lot of size and length out there. He had lineups with like Isaiah Roby next to Jeremy Sohan, next to Zach Collins, and then even like Doug McDermott. That was a lineup where like Doug McDermott was basically your 2. So there was a lot of size for the. And that helped them out defensively. I remember in the first quarter, they held Orlando to 19 points, which is, that's good defense if you can hold a team under 20 points. Zach Collins had a good night there, 9 points. Really get into the free throw line. Blake Wesley's continued to learn, and so we got some quotes from Coach Pop here this one's from Matthew Tynan. He tweeted, he said, "Pop on Blake Wesley's aggressiveness / effective performance." He says, "Right now, that's what he does best. He attacks the rim and he gets by people. He's just going to have to work on his decision making, but he's an aggressive ball player." So again, there's Coach Pop on Blake Wesley. And we did note that Wesley's one of those players who's getting some early minutes in the first half. He and Jeremy Sohan, and then Malachi Branham's getting in the game, but he's not coming into either like late in the third quarter or throughout the fourth quarter. So we have some players here who played today for the Spurs. We saw some new faces. We saw Tommy Kuzi get some minutes, finished with 4 points late in the fourth quarter. Gorgie Jang was healthy, was able to play. And then Alize Johnson, Jordan Hall, and Romeo Langford all got minutes. So that's kind of how they played. As far as the defensively, again, they let's look at how Orlando did. We know that Wendell Carter Jr. had a really good game, 20 points here, especially finishing in the paint against San Antonio. So did Franz Wagner on his return with 12 points. So let's see what they did defensively. The Magic, attacked a lot. 46% of their shots came from the paint, and they scored well there. So again, that's a concern for the Spurs long term, is that the rim defense is still an issue. The Magic did not shoot well from three, and this really helped out San Antonio. The Magic only made 24% of the three-point attempts, and very much like San Antonio, the Magic don't take a lot of mid-rangers, so just 9% of their shots came from there. They did get to the free throw line a lot. I mean, to get 27 free throws in a preseason game is a lot for a team. And they made 21 of those free throws. So again, just a much better showing for San Antonio. They were up by 19 in the first half at one point, and then Orlando did slowly start to make that comeback. But again, these games don't mean anything. But just if from watching the Spurs, it just looks like a much better team compared to how they were playing in that first game against Houston when they got blown out of the water. And so, just again, some things that you're going to continue to monitor are that their plays, just their overall offense and how they're handling the ball. They looked a lot better sets today, running a lot more pick and roll, double drag screens, dribble handoff actions. And so, they'll continue to work on that, and that's something that we want to note. One of the last things that before the game, Coach Pop told the media that chance that both Keldon Johnson and Josh Primo will be back for the last two preseason games. So there's a chance that they could play both of those players in those two preseason games before the actual regular season starts. So again, that's just a quick instant reaction to the San Antonio Spurs' second preseason game with a 3-point loss to the Orlando Magic. For Project Spurs, I am Paul Garcia.